This is my review of the Watercolor with Me in the Forest book. This is a really, really unique, totally cool book. I've never even heard of these before, but I've just started getting into doing watercolors. And so I got this because it's not just a bunch of cool things to paint, but it's lessons. What's really cool about this book is the entire book is printed on watercolor paper. And one side has a lesson and it shows you what they're teaching you. And this one is doing a wet on wet wash. And then on this side, they've got sketched out. And what's really cool is it's really pale gray. So by the time you paint it in, you can't even tell there was even a sketch there on the page. But each of these little projects, they don't take that long to complete, and it's super relaxing, super fun. You learn about technique and how adding more water can create paler colors, and it's just chock full of information. It's over 100 pages long, so you've got over 50 things to paint. I'm a brand new to watercolor painting. I've always been creative, but I've never really done watercolors at all. So I will show you what I've done so far in just the last couple of nights. This first page, first thing here. Oops, hold on. It starts off, you're doing wet on dry, because when you do watercolors, you can do wet on dry paper, you can do wet on wet paper, or you can do dry paint on wet paper. And each way of doing these different techniques creates different textures and tones to the colors that you use and different effects. And it's a lot of fun. I'm realizing I'm having so much fun doing watercolors. This particular project is what they're teaching you is how this is all the same color here. Now, this wasn't meant to be exact same as theirs because I don't have the exact same paint as theirs, but you pick one of your colors, and what you're doing is you're putting it on, putting it with a very little pigment and lots of water, and then you're adding a bit more pigment and more pigment and more pigment until you get almost an opaque color. But it's just really cool that you can get so many colors out of one paint. This here is showing you how the other effect you can achieve is if you paint something all one color and then put another color over it, then you're going to get a third color. Just really cool. Let's go to the first little thing I had to paint. These were acorns. I was kind of bored with these, so I didn't do as good at these. I think I could have, but it's showing you which colors to use and the steps to achieve the effects that you want. And there are my acorns. I don't think they're red enough. They're definitely not red enough when I look at them now. This came out really great, though. This is a caterpillar, and it shows you, again, it shows you the tones that you need, goes through the steps. Now, interesting in this one, and I'm going to add a little more shadow underneath him that I didn't finish there, but a lot of this black detail, you can actually use a pen, or you can use the paintbrush with the black. What I'm doing, I use the paintbrush just because I'm trying to learn how to properly handle and the right amount of water and everything else. So I don't want to kind of cheat by using the pen. I want to use the paintbrush. But there is my caterpillar. I think that's pretty good for a beginner, huh? But again, see, you can only see the little lines right there. There's part of the sketch lines. So it almost looks like I did this freehand because the sketch lines are so faint. So it definitely makes it, when I first saw this book, I thought it was just going to be a blank page here and you had to draw that out. And I would have been like, yeah, it's never going to look that good. So by having these sketched out, it makes it super easy to follow along with the steps here. This is what I did tonight, and I don't know, this fern just got, I started off really nice here, but it just got boring to me, and then I think I stuck my arm in here and messed it all up. So I wrote here that I learned that ferns are boring to paint and smear easily. So I'm not sure I will incorporate ferns in my paintings in the future. It's just too much work, and I don't know. They're pretty in the forest, not on my watercolor paper. Then tonight I also did a ladybug, and this one was interesting because you used two different shades of red. You also kind of mixed in a bit of black or raw umber and got a darker effect there. And I don't know how close I got to theirs, but somewhat. But it's just interesting learning about tones and Yeah, and also I'm getting better with I'm just using, the brush I'm using is a rather larger brush. Even though I do have smaller ones I could be using. Mine's about this one. But I suppose I could use a lot smaller one to do the details. I've got 2 sets of paintbrushes. And then I really like this. I just did this one. This was Clover. I love the different tones to the leaves. And I like how it almost has, it reminds me of some of those kind of soft, they almost have like a furry texture leaf. I really like how that came out. And then it was 2 different shades of kind of a corally, kind of a beigey pink, and then a darker that I went around, did kind of outlining. But, and there's also kind of a blue-green in here. But this is actually the same color green, and again, that technique that they showed at the beginning, where you're just adding a lot more water. So I basically painted them all the same paler green, and then went over it with more pigmented green. And then for the detail of the spines of the leaves, I mixed a little black in there to get it even darker than the actual green was. But I really like how that came out. But so that's what I've got so far. And each page, like I said, each project are teaching you different things about tones and technique. Going in the flowers. I'm looking forward because I love furry creatures. I'm like, how long till I get to the furry creatures? And it's a ways till I get I think I get a chickadee who doesn't even look much. He looks more like a penguin chickadee. But then we get, coming up soon, we have, he's coming. There's a snail. And then there's a hummingbird. So yeah, there's all kinds of, and they're all like the theme of the book is. It's woodland. Oh, a squirrel. Ooh, and he's pretty big too. But different woodland creatures. So there's just so much in here. It's so cool. And this, oh my God, a stoat, which is a cousin of my friends, the ferrets. But yeah, there's like 50 projects to do in here at least. And this book is only $14.99 on Amazon. It also doesn't have to cost you a lot if you don't have paints. I didn't go with fancy paints. I actually had bought these a few months ago. This is an Arteza set of, what is there, 40 here? 3, 6, 9, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, times 4, 36 colors. But this was a set by Arteza, and I've used these exclusively, and there's still tons of paint left in here since you don't use much when you're watercoloring. And these were, I think, $9.99 for the set. And then for my paintbrushes, I have a couple of sets I bought from Amazon that were 10 to 20 bucks a set. So check this out. It's really, really cool for anybody wanting to learn watercolors, or if you have a friend you think you might want to, or if you've got a friend that's like laid up in bed or, you know, broken leg and can't get out, and they're kind of artistic. The other thing, and I'll post a link to it, I bought this. It's this cool little lap desk that I set the book on, and this way, if I don't slop paint on my furniture or myself. And oh, one last tip I want to give you: when you are painting, use 2 cups of water, because you want to have 1 cup of water that you dip in and clean your brush off with, and the other one will be nice clean water, so you can add water to colors to make them paler. So that way you're not mixing in dirty water in with your colors. But anyway, check this book out. It's really awesome. There is also a watercolor with me under the sea one, which, oh, I'm going to have to get after I do this one. But this will take me quite a while. It takes me probably an hour per project. So you're looking at probably at least 50 to 60 hours worth of projects just out of one little book. So that's really pretty cool.